welcome to another episode of Insufficient Friends. I'm Kevin. She's Nikki.
Hi.
And Nick, I'm not going to ask you how your week was because I just talked to you yesterday. Mm-hmm. And all day today.
Yep.
Yeah, we're recording this, what is it, like? It's about 24 hours after we recorded the last one.
Yep.
Yeah, but we just spent...
We had a fun day, though.
We just spent all day in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun.
It was.
We, I mean, I don't think we have any shout-outs, so we can just start with what we did, because obviously nothing has really
dive right in.
changed from yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody commented today. Nope.
I didn't see any on mine.
Yeah. Yeah, but we, this is our second trip to St. Louis. Mm-hmm. This time we did the FABLOUS Fox Theatre.
Yes, very fabulous.
And the art museum. Mm-hmm. And we had a blast.
Yeah. It was very fun.
Which one did you like more?
I like them both because they're so different. They serve different purposes.
Okay.
So I love going to art museums, seeing the different things. I loved seeing the different room setups and stuff like that. But then the Fox has such a good history in St. Louis, and I love the theater and shows and music, hearing that organ.
Yes.
So they're very different. I like them both equally in different ways. Did you have a favorite? Probably the Fox.
The Fox was my favorite because I had never been there. I've been to the art museum a bunch. I've never been to the Fox.
Yeah.
And that is why I think I enjoyed the Fox more. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to look up.
Yeah, so
something.
You want to give a rundown of like the FABLOUS Fox Theatre in St. Louis. It was built in 1929.
1929 at a cost of $2 million.
Yes, which I did the math because this was a fun fact our tour guide gave, but he didn't know the conversion. So if the inflation calculator was right, that's about $36 million nowadays. A little over.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, a lot. It's very ornate, very intricate, very interesting.
Yes.
So Fox built in 1929, and it was originally a movie palace for silent movies.
Yep.
Charlie Chaplin and who is the other one they mentioned? Buster Keaton. I think
Buster
those
Keaton.
films.
Yeah. Both those, which
So
I've seen both of those,
purpose.
and we've talked about both of those on the
movie
episodes.
Yeah.
I was trying to see how many of the because one of the coolest things I thought. I mean, it is a absolutely beautiful theater.
Yeah.
But one of the coolest things that I thought, because I had heard of these before, but I'd never actually seen one, was the Wurlitzer organ.
Yes.
The pipe organ.
Yeah.
Which is we've got videos of it, and the guy that plays it has been playing it for 50 years basically now.
Yeah.
And it moves up and down, like it's built on a platform, so it can move down below the stage if they needed to or whatever. But it's just this monstrosity.
Yes.
And
it's very interesting because part of it is on its own, like it's its own musical instrument, but then sometimes they lower it a little bit just to stage level and just use it as an accompaniment. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, and it can do everything. Like it's connected to xylophones, so it can play its own xylophones. It's got a full pipe organ. It has horns that are connected to it. It's got string sounds. Like it can.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It can sound like an entire orchestra by itself, which is, I'm sure, amazingly hard to play.
Oh, yeah. So we watched this guy, and we'll post video. Like everything we talk about today, we're going to post videos and pictures.
We've got videos. We've got tons of pictures and tons of videos.
Yeah.
We'll probably
and he was, like, all over the place trying to play this thing.
So, it says here that there were only 5 manual theater organ consoles. 5 manual theater organ consoles are extremely rare, and only 3 were built by Wurlitzer. So it says one of them was originally installed in Michigan, which Detroit, we learned,
is the other Fox
is
Theater.
the other Fox.
That they are perfect duplicates of each other.
Yes, they're exactly the same.
And it's the only two.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then one is in Chicago, and one's at the Providence. It's now at the Providence Performing Arts. It was at the Marlboro Theater in Chicago. The other one's at the Paradise Theater in Chicago. But it doesn't mention the Fox, so the Fox must have a different type of Wurlitzer.
Gotcha.
But it's just it sits by itself. Like, it's massive. If you've ever seen an organ, it's got, what was it, like 4 sets of keyboards and a bunch of different little buttons and switches and stuff all over the place that he's playing. And it's just kind of amazing because it sounds amazing. Like,
yeah, it does. Yeah, and just not only the music but the shows there. I've been to a couple shows there. Yeah. The most recent I really liked, it was 6, which is the 6 Wives. Yeah. And that was really, really good.
Did you
so highly recommend going to an actual show there. They do a lot of Broadway runs.
I would love to see a show there. Did you had you ever paid attention to like what they had talked about with us when we were there? Did you pay it? Because I heard somebody that was also walking around with us say, like, I've been to shows here all the time, but I never have stopped to look at this stuff because I'm just like, we're getting in
and out.
And when you're done, you want to go home. So you just get in and out.
Yeah.
But the theater is just, it's
amazingly
very ornate.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely last time took pictures of the different details because I am very much that person that I'm like, oh my God, look at that doorknob. It's so cool. Yeah. Well, okay, so we talked about this. I am 90, but I don't enjoy being around other 90-year-olds. Yeah. So this tour was particularly frustrating for me.
It was a lot of older people.
Every single person on that tour was probably over 60 except for like a dad and a daughter and maybe like one other couple. Yeah. And they say all of their thoughts out loud, and I cannot handle it. And 90% of it is horrible jokes.
It's a lot of dad jokes.
Horrible jokes. Like there was a really ornate carved monkey on the wall because it's all these like Siamese Byzantine
that's the architecture. Style. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like trying to get a good picture of this because it's very interesting to me. Mm-hmm. And behind me, I hear like a grandpa say, oh, it's just a bunch of monkey business. But he had said something at every point of the tour up to that point. And I was like getting and I am so patient with old people. So patient. Yeah. I have the patience of like a kindergartner teacher. But for some reason on this tour today, I don't know why. I think it's because normally when people just say things, I don't care. Yeah. But it was jokes at every single thing. And I was genuinely trying to like listen. And oh my God. Like I'm 90, but I can't handle other 90-year-olds. I really can't. Yeah. Like all my taste, and I love museums and I love going on these tours, and I'm the youngest person there except for this daughter that was very clearly dragged along to this tour. But, oh my God, I couldn't take it today. That was the only thing that was driving me crazy.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, and I know you enjoyed it as well. Besides
it was so good. Yeah.
I didn't really pay attention to most of them. I couldn't even hear half of what they were saying because I'm just walking around looking at crap. Yeah. And it, like, we got to go up on the stage, which was really cool. Like, it's very few times that you're ever going to be able to look out at like you said, from a Broadway stage to a 4,200 seat theater. Yeah. Which
because when you go to just shows there, you don't get to do stuff like that. So I had not done that before. Yeah. It was very cool.
And it's just, the theater's old, and it's just neat. I took some notes on it, which I thought were interesting, of things that he talked about. Yeah. I was surprised when he was talking about the stage in particular. Mm-hmm. I was surprised that he said most shows can set up in a day.
Yes, that surprised me too.
That's a lot of stuff in a day. Mm-hmm. He said the only one that he knows of that's different is Disney. Which,
Disney things.
Of course, Disney likes to go all out on a lot of things. But he said Disney would show up with like 4 or 5 semis and have to unload and things.
He said most other shows have one.
Most of them have one, and they just unload it all in it, and it goes into the theater, and they just use the one door at the back of the theater, which is understandable. Like you're trying to do these as budget friendly as possible for what you're trying to do.
How do they have so much more? I never thought about that. I heard him say that, and I didn't even think about it. How do they have so much more to unload?
I don't.
Because Lion King was just there.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like bigger set pieces, maybe bigger set pieces, and a ton of people, like a ton of different stuff.
Lion King has massive set pieces.
Yeah, the Lion King's
that's
Disney.
Interesting. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the Lion King's Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else was there recently that wasn't Disney then. I didn't pay attention.
You went and saw 6. That's not Disney.
Yeah, that doesn't have a lot of set pieces.
Yeah.
The
only thing that I can think of that would have a lot of set pieces is Phantom.
Yeah,
that's not touring anymore.
Yeah. Because it was running for like 40 years and they took a hiatus.
It's 40 years old, which is
so I know
crazy
you
to
were probably
think about
disappointed
anyway. I would love to see Phantom.
And the tour too.
I would love to see Phantom. My uncle has seen. I think he's seen it at the Fox.
Really?
I know he's been to the Fox.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it, and he said it's cool. I have never been to the Fox, and I was just astonished walking in because it's so beautiful. Almost fell down because I didn't realize you have to step up to get into the theater because it's all built on a ramp.
Yeah, it's a ramp.
And as soon as I walked in, the first step, because I'm a klutz, the first step into the building is almost falling on my face.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But, after that, we were good.
Yeah.
Because I knew what.
Hey, what did we just talk about? Life is ups and downs.
Yeah, and this podcast is mostly down, so we discussed this,
including when we go on trips.
Yeah. But it's just beautiful. It's all fake.
Yes, a lot of it is plaster. It's still very expensive.
It still costs a fortune to do because obviously $2 million or $36 million today is still a lot. And how many did he say they built? Because there's only 2 left.
There were originally either 4 or 5.
Yeah.
There was one in Brooklyn that's no longer there. One in, I want to say, San Francisco that is something else now.
The Atlanta one is, I think, still called the Fox, but I don't.
Yeah, but
I don't remember if that's the same or not.
So like 4 or 5.
Yeah. But they were all built by the same guy. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked him what the person did, but I don't remember hearing what he said. I couldn't hear him, but we got to see a bunch of it. They have the and of course you guys are. I mean, obviously, I'm putting up pictures over what we're talking about, so you guys can see this too. The big ball in the middle is really pretty. Yes. The chandelier.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that big, and the theater, I think it's bigger than I realized. Because like when we're sitting in the seats up higher on like the 5th floor, which is the top level, you're looking at like this chandelier, this ball across the room, and it looks large, but he said it's like 12 feet across, and you can walk inside of it. It did not look that large.
Yeah, he said that people walk inside of it to change the light bulbs and things.
Yeah. And he said the tassels around the edge of the ceiling were like
each
5 feet tall, which is just crazy.
Yeah, made of plaster and horsehair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
But
it is deceiving.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem...
I think because it's so ornate and intricate, it makes it seem smaller almost.
Yeah.
Versus if you have like a super modern, sleek auditorium, theater, whatever, that's just like the seats, the stage... and it's like very modern.
Yeah.
I think they look bigger because when I think of like the Kansas City Symphony and things, those are super sleek. They feel massive, and I don't know size wise how big they are. I have not looked up a comparison, but it feels massive. Versus this one feels smaller and intimate. But I'm wondering if it's because of the decorations, the atmosphere, the mood lighting, things like that. I don't know. I don't know how big the Kaufman Center is.
The Kaufman Center for the Performing Arts.
Yeah.
Is hold please. The Muriel Kaufman Theater holds 1,800 people.
Holds 1,800.
So about a little less than half of the size of the Fox.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and I
the
think
Hellsberg Hall. There's another hall in it though.
Yeah.
That holds 1,600. So still, it's not even with both of them combined. You're still.
And I've been to things in both, so
you're still over 1,000 seats short of the Fox.
Yeah, which is wild because when you're in the either hall of the Kaufman Center, it feels bigger.
Yeah. But the Fox is just very ornate, like you said. It's
it's cozy too.
Yeah.
It's very, very intricate, but it's also like cozy feeling, I think.
Yeah. It's it is. It doesn't. Whereas like you said, like I like a modern look too, but sometimes a modern look just feels cold. It doesn't feel
homey.
It doesn't feel homey. Whereas there's so much ornateness to it that it feels like somebody's home. Yeah. Which they said that they used to, show off antiques and stuff from around the world that they had collected and things. Now there's only a few of them left. Nikki took a picture in one of the chairs, so we'll put that up too.
Yeah, I'll post it.
But there's it's just a bunch of stuff. And then also, like, everybody that goes backstage or that does a performance there signs the wall, which is fun.
Yeah, that was cool. Seeing all the old signatures.
Yeah. So we found a couple. I took more of just a general picture of a bunch of them. But we didn't... I know there's, like, they said Bob Dylan is in there. We specifically saw... who did we see?
A couple different performers.
Pujols.
Yeah, I spotted Albert Pujols' signature immediately because it's very big and loopy, and I have a baseball of it. So I was like, oh, yeah, I told the tour guide that's Albert Pujols, and he's like, oh, good catch.
Yeah.
Because there's, like, thousands of signatures on the wall. He said there's, like, one guy that works there that has a running list of locations and who has signed there, but... Unless you're that guy, you don't know where anything is because there's thousands of signatures on the wall.
Yeah, and there's like kind of like paintings and stuff that go along with the shows, and then everybody signed around that. And we only got to see what was between the side door and the stage, which is just a small portion because he said there's more in the basement too, around the dressing rooms and stuff like that. Yeah, so we're not allowed to go down there. So but it was really cool to see.
It was very cool.
All that stuff.
That tour in general was really cool, and I highly recommend going on the tour and seeing a show because it's very different experiences. Now that I've done both, it's very different experiences, and both are equally as interesting.
Yeah. And shout out to Larry because he was our tour guide.
Yeah.
And he did a very good job.
He did.
He was
he
much
was
of
rushed
the time,
a little bit, not because of anything he did.
Said he was behind, but
yeah. I feel like the tours there, it was a little disorganized there was like a lot of people there. So there was like 6 different groups.
Going at the same time.
4 or 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think things got switched up a little bit, but he did a really good job.
He did a great job.
I had a lot of good facts.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. Let me see if I had any other antiques.
Any other notes on the Fox before we move on to the art museum?
I don't think so. I think we talked about everything. I thought it was interesting that they said that two little things, I guess. There's a tapestry in the front window that when you walk in, you turn around and you look at it. And it's like almost like a Buddhist symbol thing.
Yeah, it looks Hindu to me because there was a lot of Hindu influences. The elephants
and things like that. Yeah.
And other cultural things in there as well because they combined Hinduism. Sikhism, Judaism, and there was like so many different religious influences in there and cultural as well.
Yeah,
Siamese and Byzantine. So,
but
it was very fascinating.
This massive tapestry that covers the front window. They said that it was lost for a long time, and they found it just like lying around somewhere.
Yeah,
and they put it back up, which is kind of cool because it's obviously made for the window.
Yes, it's very specifically cut
specifically, and it's also massive.
Yes,
because that window was 3 or 4 stories tall.
Like how things like this get built, and then they have this like really ornate tapestry, and then it's just like in a back room for 40 years, and then they just find it again.
Yeah,
because this building is that big that they're just like, oh, hey, this looks like this tapestry fits the front window, and it's like 50 feet tall.
Yeah.
It was probably way more than that.
Yeah, well, it went from just above the front doors up 3 floors. So it's pretty large.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I saw was that there's elephants all over in the carpet. There's elephants all over. The main like right over the stage is a giant head of an elephant sticking out of the wall.
Yeah.
But there's elephants all over in the carpet, and he said they're all looking at the stage. Which if you walk around and look, they're kind of all like their eyes are all kind of pointing like at an angle towards the stage, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
And it is.
They're all watching the shows.
It's just a beautiful theater.
It's just one of those places where you can tell that in the past they put thought into every detail instead of just trying to get a building up.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I love, and I know my dad does too, and I know you do too, old architecture for that kind of stuff.
Yes.
We talked about it when we went to see the Budweiser plant in St. Louis. It's just amazing how much thought and care was put into old buildings.
Status symbols, like we've talked about the different cultural reasons for that, and it's just fascinating.
Yeah. And, you know, the Fox, like, you walk in and it looks like a bunch of marble and gold and things. And it's not. It's all fake. But
faux.
It's a
theater
faux.
term.
Yeah, it's all
as Larry said.
But it's, you know, but it still looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's still made, and it's still not cheap, but it just looks beautiful.
Yeah, $36 million is not cheap.
Is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
yeah, very good. Highly recommend. If you have not been to the Fabulous Fox in St. Louis, go see a show
and take a tour.
Try to do a tour as well.
It was
good.
$10, wasn't it?
And afterwards, not that far from it. Yeah, it was, I think, 10 or 15 a person.
Yeah.
The little restaurant we went to in between the fountain.
Yeah. The fountain on Locust.
Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Homemade like sodas and ice cream, and I got like double grilled cheese for lunch with the pick too.
Yeah. It was good.
That was also an extremely good
it was good.
end cap to that tour of that area.
And well, they call it the world's smallest ice cream sundae, which was
a
little tiny cordial, like like a shot glass of a cordial, which was interesting.
So if you're around there taking a tour, going to a show, whatever, I highly recommend also the fountain.
Just a couple blocks away.
There.
Yeah. But after that, after lunch and our tour that went about 30 minutes over what it was supposed to, which is fine because we had fun.
Yeah.
Also the bathrooms. The bathrooms were very nice.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even talk about that.
No.
They're the very old, ornate lounges.
Yeah.
The one, especially the ladies' lounge on the right side of the building. I don't know what direction that is, but it is so much so French style. It's so ornate. So a lot of the building is the Byzantine Siamese. I've said that a lot, but and then some of it's Art Nouveau type, like 1920s.
Which is the men's restroom on the other side of the building.
Yeah, and then the ladies' lounge on the second level, I believe, was so ornate it could be a bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, it just so pretty.
Well, we walked in there, and I was like, oh, well, this is... Like, I didn't realize... It said lounge. I'm like, okay, well, this must have been like a smoking bar or something when I went in.
Yeah.
Because the men's, I didn't look, like, in any of their hallways to see what was there.
Yeah.
But when we went into the women's, I like, walked in there, which I didn't in the men's. I walked in there, and I look, and I'm like, oh, well, there's a freaking restroom right there. Like, this is just a bathroom.
Yeah, but it's so ornate.
The first room is just a sofa, some chairs, and a stained piece of stained glass on the ceiling.
It looks like a sitting room in a castle almost. Like
and by the way, I didn't just walk into the ladies' restroom. That was part of the tour. We all went inside.
Yes, all 20 guests went in.
I did not just randomly walk into the girls' restroom.
Not just Kev.
Just to see what it looked like.
So, overall, very good.
But after we did that, we sat in traffic for 30 minutes inside Forest Park.
Yeah.
To get to the art museum. Mm-hmm. And we had some fun there too.
Yeah, the art museum. I love it. I love any type of place where you can go that has something cultural on display so I can learn. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different, they have African art, they have Islamic art, they have Japanese art, they have whole rooms set up of the early colonial American times, and just so much there that is so interesting.
And when she says rooms, we're not talking like, I mean, I'm sure if you've been to a museum, you've seen these because I've seen them at other museums too. We're not talking like just a room of artifacts. I'm talking like you walk in and it looks like they copied a room out of a home somewhere.
Yeah.
And made it look exactly like that. Like a replica
of
you're
walking into someone's
room
house
in a home. Yes.
Yeah. It is very, very fascinating. And then with the art museum especially, so Well, before I get into my stories, how did you like the art museum? Because I know today was more about the Fox for you, but how did you like the art museum?
I always like going to the art museum.
Because you've been there many times.
I've been there a bunch of times, and I've seen a lot of that stuff before. But every time I go, it's amazing to see history sitting in front of you. Things that are thousands of years old.
Yeah.
And we kind of mentioned that, like, you know, you've got some of the African art and some of the Mayan art and Central American art and stuff like that. And you look at it, and it's amazing how they carved some of this stuff out of stone back in the day, like
it's
that
wild.
long ago. And then I also, which is even more amazing to me, is the like art from China and stuff like that is almost as old or just as old, but so like painted and ornate and still looks like it was made yesterday.
Yeah.
And
I know that's because a lot of it is so well preserved and taken care of by the owners that donated these pieces to the museum, but still.
It's amazing that it survived that well.
It makes me think like, God, and I can't even make those little, you know, those little beads that you iron together and then it looks like something. I can't even do those. I messed it up. Like I burnt it one time. And I'm like, and these people in like 1000 BCE were painting and carving these so ornate things, and you just look at it and you're like, I am so insufficient. Insufficient.
Insufficient friends. We are insufficient.
I did not mean to do that.
We're a little tired.
That's true.
It's been a long day already, and unfortunately, Nick has to drive back home, which is it's now a 2-hour trek.
Yeah,
so.
That's okay though. It was all worth it. It was really fun. So the art museum, I've never been to, but I've always wanted to go because it holds a special place in my heart because my grandpa always told stories about it.
Okay.
And my Aunt Cindy as well told some, and then I also talked to Grandpa. But so my great grandpa worked there.
Okay.
So he was more of a maintenance person. He would like hang pictures, help hang things, put the sculptures up, things like that.
Which is all a job in and of itself because you're working with priceless pieces of artwork and things.
So hard. And he would crate the things up when the exhibition was done. So that was his job, and he did that for a long time. He also, my grandpa told this funny story, and who knows how accurate this is or if I'm retelling it right, but he said, this would be his dad. So my great-grandpa's legs were on TV a lot because he was also the person who would hold up like pictures and things like as they were like showing them on TV or like on different programs, like the local shows. And so he's like, yeah, and his legs were on TV a lot.
Okay. That's interesting.
So yeah. But he also told this story. This didn't happen to my great-grandpa, but it happened during the time he was working there with the mummies. And so that's why I made such a big deal. I really wanted to see the room with all the different mummies.
It's one of the best
also because I loved
parts
ancient Egypt
of it. I mean, you've actually got three mummified people in their sarcophagi in a room.
And it is really cool now that they have the X-ray technology. You can click through, I want to see the X-ray, I want to see the skin tissue, I want to see, you can see all of it without even opening the thing because of how good the CAT scans, I think that's what it's called. There was X-ray, CT scans, it was fascinating. So he told this story about the mummies back in the day before they were in the glass cases that they're in now. Apparently there was one it was on display like towards the bottom of one of like the staircases, which there's like hundreds of staircases. There was a security guard that was either going up or down the stairs and fell into a mummy case, a sarcophagus. And mummy case, that is so not correct.
Technically it is correct. It is a case that they're in. It's not the right word, but it is what they're in.
So he fell into this and I guess like fell on this mummy. And then they found out that this mummy, I don't know if it's one of the ones that is still there or if it was just like a touring exhibition. I have no idea. Because this is just a story that I'm retelling like from a third person down. Like it was told to my grandpa and then he told it to me. So who knows the details. But they found out that the mummy was not preserved right. Like it smelled. There's just something going on. Like either it wasn't preserved originally right, or the humidity was too high in the museum, because I know that affects a lot of things. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that was always really funny, just hearing my grandpa tell that story.
Okay. Yeah. It took us a little longer to find the mummies than expected. We had to ask somebody because
they're up on the 3rd floor.
They moved them. Because when I was younger, last time I was there, they were still in the basement, like on the 1st floor, and they moved them up to the 3rd floor.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's because they kind of expanded it, included that new technology, the screens where you can see inside them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I remember them being in a pretty open space.
There was another room of ancient Egyptian stuff that we didn't go into because we went back down the elevator, but there was another wing that I saw. So we didn't see all of it. So I think it was a lot of the 3rd floor. So I'm wondering if they expanded or if they just moved to give it a better flow. Who knows?
Yeah, there's no telling.
Yeah.
Because used to it was down like next to the suits of armor, which is what I was.
Oh yeah, that was really cool too.
Yeah.
Seeing the maces and things.
Yeah, the big suits of armor and weaponry and stuff from the Middle Ages, which is cool. But yeah, I've been to the art museum a ton of times, and I do enjoy going. And it's always just amazing to look at, because
I'm glad I finally got to go. The outside is very pretty too.
Yeah, it's one of the
palace.
It was one of the palaces in the World's Fair, which we kind of talked about in our other episode.
Yeah. And now it's the only one left.
It's the only one left. I don't remember how many palaces it was that were created. Yeah. But 1904 World's Fair, it was one of the palaces.
Yeah. And I would like to know, one thing I don't know and I need to look up is how it looked then versus how it looked now. How many renovations have been done? I know there's been renovations. So one of the other stories my grandpa told me was when my great-grandpa was there, they renovated some big ornate set of doors or something, and he took a lot of the wood, used it for scrap wood, and made it into a trailer. So I know it's been renovated probably several times.
It's
of course,
been renovated. It's been added on to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's a modern-looking building attached to it.
I don't know.
Because I wonder those
large
palaces.
Building. It was a large building to start.
And it's a lot of marble. And so I'm like, all these palaces that they built for the World's Fair, there was like 13 or something.
Yeah.
And if they were all like marble like this, they just tore all those down. Like that still, I can't wrap my head around that. I really can't.
Yeah, I don't know if all of them were I don't know how that works.
Because if they're like plaster or something, I don't know. I'm not like a contractor. I don't really know building materials.
It's the 1900, like it's literally like the early 1904. They would have been building this in like at the turn of the century, basically. Yeah. So I wouldn't think there'd be a ton of materials like that used, because it's just gonna fall down.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have some of the technologies that we do today to build things. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe they did build a bunch of stuff out of plaster, but I'm looking at some of the pictures of it from when it was, like, supposedly the original ones with people, old people in dresses and stuff standing outside.
And does it look the same?
And it looks a lot similar. Like,
yeah. So that's wild. I would like to know, of the marble and things that are in there, because that versus the Fox Theater, you can tell the pillars they said are hollow. They put them all together. Mm-hmm. But this was like real stone and marble.
It's real
very
stone.
Much so.
Yeah.
So that would be fascinating. I can't believe there were 13 of those. Was it 13? Something like that at the World's Fair. I know we talked about it a while ago.
It was a good number of them. I don't remember.
It still blows my mind that there were so many and that's the only one left.
Yeah. Because that's just
how the World's Fair works, which is also another thing that I can't wrap my head around.
Like, it's just they would just build it and then they would tear it down.
Yeah.
1,500 buildings were constructed, mostly made from. Oh, yeah, most of them were made from plaster and fiber. Yeah, is what it says on here. From the what is this? This is go away. St. Louis
plaster
Art.
is still
this is from the
expensive.
St. Louis Art Museum's website.
Really?
Yeah. Only two buildings were intended. Only two buildings were intended to outlast the fair: the Flight Cage, now part of the St. Louis Zoo, and the Palace of Fine Arts, which is now the Art Museum.
What's the Flight Cage?
It says it's part of the zoo, so I don't know if that's
I'll have to look that up. I don't know.
bird something. I don't know.
Maybe there was an animal expo in the World's Fair.
Yeah, hold on.
Sounds like it. Just being called Flight Cage.
Nope. I gotta put an L in there. I guess it took fight cage, not flight cage.
Fight Club.
I wonder if it's the. Yeah, it's the aviary at the zoo.
So that was part
which
of
we
the
drove
World's
by.
Fair too.
It's right on the edge of the
I've
zoo.
been to the St. Louis Zoo, so I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
So I guess that was built for the zoo too, or for the World's Fair too.
Okay,
that
interesting.
large bird cage basically is what it is.
And then now it's just part of the zoo.
Yeah.
So the zoo was made after the World's Fair stuff.
I guess.
Or I mean, I get. It sounds like part of it was part of the World's Fair. But
So
like the zoo as we know it today.
Yeah, the zoo as we know it today has been expanded a bunch of times because I've even seen some of the changes that they've made over the years.
Yeah.
So I know they've expanded the zoo a bunch of times, but it's just kind of crazy that they just built.
I just can't.
All that stuff and then tore it down.
It's like I get the same feeling trying to think about this when someone says they're like, what's $1 trillion? And then I try to, people compare it to like grains of rice or something to try to visualize what $1 trillion is. And it's the same feeling I get when I try to think about that. I just can't wrap my head around it. It's not like something you can visualize.
So the way I always like to envision large numbers like that is in time. Because I think that's the easiest way to do it.
That, yeah.
So 1 trillion seconds, which you have seconds that are relatively quick. They're not. Second isn't. Everybody knows how long a second is. It's short. Yeah. 1 trillion seconds is 31,688 years.
Yeah, which also I know it's time, but still that's so long. That's also hard to conceptualize, too, when you think about the span of human history so far.
That would be
human written recorded history.
Before the last ice age and the construction of the pyramids. Because that would put it at 29,000 BC.
Jesus. Literally.
No, way before him. Way before him. 29,000 years before him.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, this is...
that's crazy. When did dinosaurs go extinct?
Around 65 million years ago.
Why am I asking so many questions this episode? I feel like you're just my Google right now.
I think the most... 65 million years is the number that I hear thrown around all the time. I'm not going to fact
that they went extinct?
Yeah. 65 million years.
That's a lot of years.
But they were also.
Wow.
This is what's crazy about the dinosaurs, and this is gonna.
I guess I just never really cared about dinosaurs that much, so maybe I didn't know these things.
Yeah, actually, one of the craziest facts that I know about dinosaurs that amazes me, and it's gonna be one of these things that you can't comprehend because it's ridiculous to say.
Yeah. So
the dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago. Okay, it's a long flipping time.
Yeah.
I think it's the T-Rex. We live, 65 million years.
Yeah.
We live closer in time to the T-Rex, I think is the dinosaur that it is, than some of the other dinosaurs that lived. They lived on the earth for so long.
Some of the first periods.
Some of the first periods of dinosaurs were farther apart in time than us and the last dinosaurs to live.
It's so crazy. Evolution is insane. Hurts my brain.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
And I know that technically, like, some people still argue that, like, we are so on a tangent. We need to do a whole episode about dinosaurs because this is kind of blowing my mind. Because I know that also some people say, like, some amphibians or birds nowadays are still technically... they would consider in that category. Yeah, we need to do an episode on this.
So 9 non-bird dinosaurs lived on Earth for about 165 million years, from 245 million years ago to to the end of the Cretaceous period around 65 million years ago.
That's wild.
So, yeah,
That's literally insane.
That's a long flipping time.
And to think that the human lifespan is, what, like, the average is, like,
70 years?
70, 80 years.
70 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a long time ago.
Jeez.
I'm
going to be thinking about
We're going to have to do a
dinosaur.
We're going to have to do dinosaurs.
Yeah, I agree.
We're going to have to do a dinosaur episode. Because that would be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
we've got some good episode topics coming up. I think I'm actually really excited. So we're going to do cults and cult personalities,
which is interesting. Yes.
Next, I think.
Uh-huh.
And then a whole episode on Dolly Parton. I'm excited for that. And then we should do dinosaurs after that.
Okay. I think we can do that.
Yeah.
I enjoy dinosaurs.
Yeah, and I enjoy Dolly Parton.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with Dolly Parton. I don't have a problem with Dolly Parton at all.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I mean, if you did, I don't think we could be friends. Literally.
Yeah, that would
Who would
probably
ever
be a
have a
problem.
problem with her?
I don't know.
She's literally like the most unproblematic person ever.
Yeah.
That would, if you could find a reason to be
I'm
mad
sure
at
there's.
her.
I'm sure there's somebody.
Oh, 100%. There always is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wow, we went off on a tangent.
Yeah, that was extreme. I was just trying to see if I had a fun fact because I was like, okay, I probably need to be. We can talk about this on another episode.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I don't know that I have one actually pulled up yet either.
Okay, I just pulled one up, and you'll like this.
Okay.
So I don't think they said this on the tour. If they did, I missed it. So going back to the Fox Theater,
Mm-hmm.
I already said it opened in 1929. They did tell us that, and that it was it premiered different talkies. But the first premiere was Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that was the first film? No, because they would have done silent films.
It says the first talkie was to a sold out crowd. Well, I don't know. It says the premiere was Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse.
I wonder if that's.
It was one of the first theaters in the country to be built with full talkie equipment. Now, it sounds like they still showed a lot of silent movies, too. I don't know.
When did Steamboat Willie come out? I want to say Steamboat
And when
Willie
did
came out in the 20s.
Hey Siri, hey Kevin. When did silent films stop?
Well, it was in the 20s and 30s, I believe. Steamboat Willie came out in 1928, so it would have been
So they would have
November of
premiered it.
1928. So it would have been right.
And then the silent films ended in the early 1930s. So there might have been some overlap because it does say.
I'm sure there was because all the theaters wouldn't have been like it said.
Equipped
that quickly.
Yeah, it said that was one of the first that had the ability to do that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so it says they're opened January 31st, 1929 to a sold out crowd, premiering Steamboat Willie.
I wonder how that went. Like not obviously Steamboat Willie was popular, but I wonder how
like how people of that time reacted to it?
No, not necessarily. Like because I've watched a couple silent films and they're not necessarily short. Like they're
long.
Like an hour long or an hour and a half long or something like that, or a couple hours long. Yeah, like they're like the length of a regular movie, which is fine. Steamboat Willie's only 8 minutes long. So was it played?
Is it really?
Yeah, it's only 8 minutes. It's not a feature. It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
So did it air with other cartoons at the same time? Like I know they had other cartoons. This was just the first Mickey Mouse.
I don't know. Maybe that was the intro to something else.
Yeah, I know they had other cartoons, but they hadn't made.
Maybe that fact, because that was just I Googled fun facts about the Fox Theater. Maybe they meant like that was the premiere, so technically that was the first thing they showed, but then there was maybe
a
something
movie
else after it.
Because a lot of times they would show cartoons before they would show a movie.
Yeah,
and that was a pretty common thing a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
Almost like how now you see 30,000 trailers before you actually get to a movie when you go to a theater.
Yeah, and some of them are extremely good, and some of them I'm like, can we just get to the movie?
Yeah. Yeah, which I'm still always sitting in the theater before they even turn the lights on. So,
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and a lot of times I'm the only one there.
I know there are a lot of movies that were some of the very few, if not the only there.
Yeah.
Whether I go with you or with Casey or whoever,
Yeah.
it's unless you're at like the Barbie movie or something like that.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing Steamboat Willie must have aired before something else, because 8 minutes to go watch an 8-minute film is not a thing. Like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
So I also think it's interesting that, like, going back to the Fox a little bit, that the Wurlitzer would have been played with like to accompany the silent films, because I know they have had music and stuff a lot of times to accompany or things, but you just play the organ, like you just have a person playing the music, which is
bringing up and down the emotions. And it's very cool.
It's just amazing to watch. But my fun fact, so we talked about the Fine Arts Palace and the Birdcage were the only two things that were built to outlast the World's Fair. So at the time when the art museum was built, which it was used as an art museum basically for the World's Fair too.
Okay.
It was the Fine Arts Palace.
Okay, so that's why it does say that inscription on the front. Okay,
so it was the Palace of Fine Arts.
From there or later. Okay.
It was there was approximately 11,000 works in the museum at the time, from 1,500 professional artists from 26 countries. So it was literally just a conglomerate. Basically, what it is now, it was just a conglomeration of stuff
different cultures
from around the world. Now, I would say back then it probably wasn't so much. And I don't know this. I'm guessing on this. But the way that this makes it sound is it says works by 1,500 professional artists and things. That makes me think it was more of pieces of art and sculptures and things, not necessarily what we see now when we go, which is a lot of history entwined in that.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of historic art. That art museum...
It probably would have been displaying what they were doing at the time.
Yeah.
Wasn't that what the World's Fair was about?
Yeah, I would guess
Advances and culture in that moment.
Most art museums that I've been to, well, I guess it's only that one. That's the main art museum that I've ever been to. I've also been to Nelson Atkins in Kansas City, which Nelson Atkins isn't quite the same, I don't think. I like Nelson Atkins because I think it's really cool. But the St. Louis Art Museum seems more like an art history museum to me than anything.
It's very much an art history.
There's a lot of historical artifacts. There's a little section of modern art. There's some modern pieces, but for the most part, it is old artifacts. And it's not all. I mean, obviously, anything can be considered art for the most part. But like, there's a lot of pottery and a lot of sculptures and dishes and things like that, which is not.
Or there was so much on display about like the earlier native cultures and the Mayan ball games, and then they would have like the actual pieces that these Mayans would wear around their waist and while playing this ball game before they were sacrificed if they lost. And so there were like whole posters of the history. So, I agree. It's very much a historical thing too.
Like, a lot of artwork that we go look at in museums is historical and is old, but this isn't just like paintings hanging on a wall, or just a couple sculptures. It's like
they give
like
the
I said,
history of
there's dishes. They have full rooms where it's got pieces of furniture and like and things sitting in it, like an artwork and stained glass and everything.
It was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
It's a really cool museum,
and we only spent a small amount of time there.
Oh yeah, we kind of rushed through it. We didn't even go to a lot of rooms.
Stayed there for days.
Yeah. I mean, I've spent several hours in there before just walking through, and not even like standing and reading a bunch of stuff, just trying to walk through the whole building, because it is a large building. We skipped probably 2/3 of it. And that's, and basically just to find the mummies, which we had to ask somebody how to get there.
So we also made several laps around it.
We made a few laps and walked through the same areas a few times, and then we were told that it was on the 3rd floor instead of the 1st, which again,
it's like finding a manager at a Walmart. Finally, you just give up and you're like, all right, where's the manager?
Yeah, like where's somebody that I can talk to? Can you tell me where this is?
I haven't been to Walmart in so long.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. And I did a. I'll call myself out on this because I just now thought of this. I did a total man thing and just went and got a map and then tried to figure it out myself. And then we went and asked.
And we still went in the wrong direction.
And then we still went in the wrong direction.
I just follow at this point. All the men in my life, I'm just like, whatever. I have a feeling that you're wrong, but at this point, I'm just tired. So I'm going to follow you around.
I was trying.
I know you were. I'm just giving you crap.
I mean, and like she said, it used to be on the 1st floor. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah. To your credit, she did say, "Oh yeah, they used to be right here."
Yeah, I haven't been there in a long time. Yeah. And that's just where I knew that they were. Like in the past, I'm like, they used to be right here. Like it was right here. Yeah. I don't know why I can't find it.
I know. To your credit, though, we did navigate the map well because you were like, "Oh, maybe it would be in the African art," which makes sense.
Yeah.
And so we navigated there very quickly. So technically, we did find what you were looking for on the map quickly. Yeah. It just wasn't the ancient Egypt
wasn't the
section.
right place. It wasn't the right place.
They had a whole ancient Egypt section separate from the African art.
And we just didn't look at the 3rd floor on the map because I'm like, no, it's on the 1st floor. Yeah. Like, it's always been on the 1st floor. Ever since I was a little child, it was on the 1st floor.
Yeah, but we did get to see a lot of cool stuff on the 1st floor. So I was not mad about seeing the teapots and then the armor and swords. Like so
yeah. I think that's it for this week.
Yeah, highly recommend the Fabulous Fox and the St. Louis Art Museum.
Yes. And if you're gonna go to the art museum though,
give it some time.
Make sure you give it time for 2 reasons. 1, because it's big. 2, because you're probably gonna have to sit in traffic for a little while. Because there's a lot of traffic in Forest Park, and it's not. We sat there for a while, but and we saw a guy on a 1-wheel juggling, which was interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting day all around.
Yeah, but we had a lot of fun. Recommend all of it. But yeah, if you guys are ever in St. Louis, Budweiser Museum, Fox Theater, Art Museum, History, like there's so much.
Yeah, there's so much. Look at our Instagram, you'll know where to go.
Yeah, and we're gonna be going to like Kansas City and St. Louis and stuff too. We're gonna be doing a lot of. So we're gonna try to go to a bunch of different places. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.